Good morning. From Kenya, Nairobi, Bawa Jain, the President of the Center for Responsible Leadership. Honored to be here with a very special man, Mr. Ali Mohammed, the CEO of Power Bank. I'm told the pride of Africa in Qatar. We are going to have a wonderful and free discussion with him. And let's try and understand a little bit about the geopolitics of the Gulf and how the Gulf is emerging to contribute to the global conversations and be positively engaged in the issues that are most critical to the area. So, Ali, thank you so much. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
No, I think it'll be interesting for our folks here who are going to be listening in. Remember, these are going to be some of the leading thinkers and influencers of the world. Would you like to share anything which the people or what cannot be Googled about you personally?
Okay. Thank you so much, Bava, for the meeting and this interview. I think it's important for me to. I'm Kenyan. I'm Somali Kenyan. I'm very Pan-African. That's something that you cannot find on the internet about me. I love golf. I love speed, and I love anything that bridges gap between Islamic finance and Africa. I'm a big supporter.
Islamic finance. Speak a little bit. A lot of people in America don't understand what is Islamic finance.
Islamic finance is actually, you can say, it's ethical finance, whereby, the relationship between the bank and the customer, it's not a debtor-creditor relation. It's actually a partnership model, and whereby we don't do interest, we do profit sharing. So the bank enters into a profit. Baba, let me give you an example. Let's say Baba goes to an Islamic bank and wants to buy a car. Or let's start with a conventional bank. Baba, you go to the conventional bank, he wants to buy a car. You go to Bank A. Bank A will say, Baba, how much is your Toyota? They say $20,000. They'll give you the $20,000. If you were to go on a honeymoon with that $20,000 or buy another equipment, not the car, it's none of the business of the bank, as long as you pay back the installments. Now, in Islamic banking, so what just happened there between you and the conventional bank is actually you borrowed money and you're paying money for money. So there's no exchange of products and services. While in the Islamic bank, if you were to go and purchase the same car, $20,000, they'll say, okay, Baba, give us the pro forma invoice with the chassis number. We will contact the Toyota dealer. You go and pick up the car from the Toyota dealer. So the bank acquires the car on your behalf. The bank makes sure that the product is delivered to you. You pay installments. So the installments that you pay and the admin charges, it's what actually the bank calls administrations and facilitations fees. So what happens is product and services are exchanged for money. Well, the other one was money for money. So that's in a nutshell.
Interesting. But what is unique is that you don't charge any interest or pay any interest.
No.
Why?
Now, of course, if you look at all the Abrahamic religion, if you look at Christianity, Judaism, Islam, interest is forbidden because interest is actually...
Are you saying in Christianity interest is forbidden?
Yes, interest is
Then what are they doing in America and the West, all over Europe?
We don't know actually. I think...
you think they are not following what was the edict of Abraham?
No, I don't want to say that, but what they've done is probably they've missed a few bits and pieces. Of course, not everybody practices Islam to the dots. Not everybody practices Christianity to the fullest. So, of course...
Now, that's quite a statement, that yes, people don't follow their religion to the fullest.
Look, it's 2022, I would say. Interest was forbidden across the Abrahamic religion. That's why in Islam we don't do interest, because it creates economic disparity. It creates inequality. The poor becomes poor, and the rich become richer. So for me, interest is, in Islam, it's forbidden because of the inequality in economics.
When you're saying that, it increases the income gap.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. But if you look at it, the people in the Middle East and the Gulf who have money have enormous amounts of money. And there are people at the bottom rung who have very little.
Look,
Am I missing something?
No, you're not missing something. Actually, it's a good point you're stating. In every society, there'll always be a gap between the top of the pyramid and the low end of the pyramid. And that's where the middle income comes into play. If a government does not stimulate the middle income, then there's a big issue.
No, I don't get me wrong. I know that Qatar as a country is amongst the highest in the GDP, per capita income.
Yeah.
Qatar is amongst the highest. I know
It's the
that.
wealthy. Actually, it's the first country in terms of income per capita. Yes, it's the wealthiest. If you look at how many indigenous Qatari are there, they're around 300 to 400,000.
That's all?
That's all.
The number of Qataris are 300 to 400,000.
400,000, yes.
Out of a total population of?
Of 2.8.
2.8.
Yeah.
So the 2.4 million are the expatriates.
Are the expatriates, yes.
And what is the national sovereign wealth fund of Qatar?
The sovereign wealth fund of Qatar is around now at around 500 billion.
500 billion for 300, 400,000 persons.
That's why it's...
So per capita works out to?
Yeah, that's why it's the richest country. $120,000 income per capita. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
Qatar it's a unique country, by the way.
Why?
Unique because of the leadership. Now, if you look at the leadership that Qatar possesses, a young man, His Highness the Royal Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, may, I would say this, may the grace of Allah or God preserve him, because he is a visionary leader. He is not only visionary, but he's also very compassionate, empathy. You know, when you look at leaders who lack empathy.
How old is he?
He's 30, I think, to be honest, 37, I think.
What age did he take over as Amir?
He took over 5 years ago, when he was, I think, 32.
And his father was how old when he handed over the reins to his son?
His father was, I think, early, it was late 50s.
See, that was remarkable.
Yes.
That at the prime of his age, he had the courage to pass on the leadership to the young generation.
True.
Why did he do that?
Now, many things. Now, of course, there's always a generation.
You know, I say this
planning.
because I had the honor of meeting the Sheikh a few times, Sheikh Hamad. I met him a few times. Sheikh Hamod's also brilliant people and very, very engaging and friendly. So my personal experience in Qatar was always very positive. I came back very happy each time.
I've been in Qatar for 15 years. That tells you a lot.
15 years?
Yeah, that's home to me. The people of Qatar are very nice. Now, in every company, you always have to have a strategy. And the strategy is succession planning.
But you are part of the expatriates.
I'm part of the expatriates.
Okay.
But I feel very home there.
Okay.
Because part of actually, I always tell people, if you want to like a place, if you want to understand the people, integrate, learn the language. Now the language it breaks the barrier of integration. So it made my integration very easy in Qatar because I mastered the language of Arabic. I went to visit Qatari homes at their majlis. Now, you asked me a very good question, the succession planning of His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad. Like every company, you have to think about the next generations.
Yeah.
Because you'll get old, but you want to. So succession planning was always part of the Vision 2030. And the young man, His Highness Sheikh Tamim, was always ready to be a leader.
Yeah.
Because he possessed leadership qualities at a very young age. You could see he was the chairman of the Qatar Olympic Committee. He was the chairman of the Qatar Tennis Federation. He was the crown prince for many years.
I believe when I was there that he's a good rider.
Yes.
Is that? I remember that.
Yes, he's a good tennis player as well. Yeah, very good tennis player. Now, I mean, if you look at Qatar, the way it is to the neighbors, you're talking about the geopolitics. I was hoping we can touch on the Gulf crisis.
Please, thank you for introducing a sensitive subject. We in the West know that there was enormous tensions. While we know the tensions, a lot of people don't know why the tensions occurred and how were they resolved. What is the current status? It's a long question. I leave it up to you.
Thank you, Bob. Qatar being Qatar, there was a lot of things going on for Qatar. The largest LNG exporter in the world, They've got the World Cup coming up.
Yeah.
The only country in the GCC to record GDP growth of 1.7 to 2.5%. Very sound macroeconomics and micro as well. The stock market was doing well. There's no issues of corruptions and any, unlike other countries. Now, you have to understand that Qatar has one of the largest bank in Middle East and Africa is a Qatari bank, which is Qatar National Bank.
Yeah.
And the largest media in the in probably
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera.
Yeah. So, I've been on Al Jazeera a few times.
Yeah. So when you have Al Jazeera on one side,
yeah,
and the biggest media house, and you have the big financial.
But isn't Al Jazeera all controlled and financed by His Highness, by the government?
No. It's part of the sovereign fund. Al Jazeera is owned. It's a national asset. So if you look at Al Jazeera on one side, the biggest financial institutions, politics is in your pocket. You become so relevant.
Yeah.
People cannot ignore you. So a small country punching big. That's why the Americans respect Qatar, because laws are not changed overnight. Laws go through a systematic way of consultation, through the Shura Council,
yeah,
through the institutions, through the players, the ministries, and then it goes to the Diwan for the Emir to consult, to issue a decree. So these are stages, and this can take 2 years, it can take 3 years. So it's not like other GCC countries that you think of a law overnight is changed.
So there is a difference in how laws are promulgated?
Yes, in some countries even they talk in the Majlis and the law is implemented the next day. I'll give you...
so that's the autocracy still reigns? Is that what you're saying?
No, in some parts of the GCC, yes. But in Qatar is the... I mean, if you look at Qatar during the crisis, the way they came. Now, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
Qatar supplies LNG gas through a terminal called the Dolphin Terminal in the UAE. Now, during the blockade, one of the blockading countries was UAE.
Why did they blockade?
Now,
let's just go back to that.
Okay, they blockaded Qatar because Qatar was becoming so powerful in the West, and Qatar is a darling to the Europe, darling of the America, and during the Obama era, Qatar was very critical because it helped a lot
of the US base, army,
because of the US base, and also Qatar, they like to have a dialogue and confront people, go to war. Now, if you look at Qatar, the way they talked about South Sudan, North Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, and also Yemen, Qatar wanted to mediate and bring solutions. Now, if you look a perfect example is now in Afghanistan.
So are you suggesting that Qatar as a peacemaker's role was viewed with jealousy?
Oh, well, it was viewed with many things because Qatar in itself as a sovereign, they have Al Jazeera, so they could reach out the globe easily. And now, if you look at the case of Khashoggi, the death of the Saudi journalist who died in Turkey, Qatar covered it. But
I remember that.
Qatar told a true story, nothing else. So when you come and tell people to shut down Al Jazeera, lose your sovereignty, because people believe, in the West, people believe that the best country, the biggest powerful country is Saudi Arabia. Yes, it is, by population, but not by thinking. For me,
not by thinking?
No.
Why?
If you look at the leadership of Saudi and the leadership of Qatar, there's a massive difference. It's heaven and earth. I was telling another news outlet, if we could have 3 His Highness Sheikh Tamim in the Middle East would be Europe, will be a safe haven. Just of the thinking.
Interesting.
Now, I'll give you an example. The Dolphin LNG terminal on the UAE side, the gas is supplied through Qatar. If Qatar was malicious, they could have said, because you blockaded us, there's no food. As you know, Jebel Ali is an economic hub, and also it's very important for Qatar because all the Japanese cars, Toyotas, all the equipment, the TV and everything needs to go through Jebel Ali and then Qatar. So when you shut that down, you kill the economy of Qatar. That's the intentions, was to paralyze Qatar.
But they did not succeed.
They did not succeed. On the other hand, you look at this type of leadership.
Yeah.
I supply you LNG to supply electricity to 5 of the Emirates.
Yeah.
So if you look at today, if Qatar stopped that LNG supply of gas, probably 75% of UAE goes blackout. But because of the leader, what he said, I don't want to, it's not the people of the UAE are wrong. It's the leadership. There's something wrong with the leadership. There's nothing wrong with the people. These are our brothers. So we cannot.
But what are the current relations between the Gulf countries and between Saudi Arabia? Because remember, there is only one Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And there's only one custodian of the 2 holy mosques.
True.
And every Muslim, 1.6 billion of them in the world, aspires to go to Mecca and Medina.
Yes, absolutely. That's a dream of everybody. It's our pillar, actually. It's the pillar of Islam. The relationship between Qatar and Saudi, it's getting better. The relationship.
What improved it?
What improved is the understanding of that. Look, I think the young man, Mohammed bin Salman, has come to terms to understand the importance of a partner like Qatar, especially when you host the largest American base, especially when you have a sovereign fund that has diversification. They own Volkswagen, Porsche, Harrods, you name it, a lot of listed companies.
Yeah.
So they're very strategic. So it's something that Saudi can.
They recently bought one of the iconic buildings in Washington too.
Yes.
The Brookings Institution,
the Brookings Institution.
which I believe you have a partnership with for many, many years.
Yes, they have
one of the world's leading think tanks.
Yes,
right?
They have a chapter in Qatar as well.
Yeah.
So if you look at Qatar diversification into the globe, it's something that the rest of the Middle East can learn. But having said that, the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Qatar is getting better. Mohammed bin Salman has been 3 times to Doha. His Highness Sheikh Tamim has been to Riyadh to meet, and also look, they've come to terms. What happened. I mean, of course, there's always been.
And how is the relation with MBZ?
With MBZ, it's look. The flights are open. The business, the banks are doing that, transacting. But I don't think the.
See, I'm asking these questions because we in the West, especially in the US, this is a very critical part of the world, and how relations are between the countries is also critical to the future of the geopolitics and how it influences whether it's Europe or America. So what is, in your opinion, where is Qatar headed in that?
Look, if you look at the strategic partnership Qatar has globally, it's, look, Qatar realized there's a continent called Africa. So if you look at Africa, they have a very good relationship with. They have 38 embassies, African embassies in Qatar. They have 21 Qatari embassies in Africa. It's growing. It's actually the largest embassy out of the Middle East based African embassies in Qatar. So there are more in Qatar than in Saudi, UAE, and Kuwait. If you look at the way they look at the Asia continent, Qatar has a very good relationship with China, Russia. Qatar is actually, now they have also, the West actually respect Qatar because of their smart foreign policy approach. Now, if you look at Saudi, I'll give you an example. Saudi has been in Somalia for the last, God knows, 60 years. Qatar has been in Somalia for just the last 10 years. Qatar has invested, developed, assisted the government of Somalia they built homes, they built hospitals, schools, a library. They've assisted them with the tax. They built the port, the airport. While Saudi, people, when you go for charity money, it's only building mosque, building schools, nothing else. But the economic impact of Qatar in a country like Somalia is much bigger than Saudi. So if you look at also, like Rwanda, Qatar is building the airport, Bugesera Airport. They put 2.7 billion. So they also bought the Rwanda.
You brought up a very interesting point which I wanted to bring up.
Please.
Can Africa break out of the shackles of China and the Middle East, which has invested and controlled so much of the interests in Africa?
Okay, there's a lot of inheritance similarities between Middle East and Africa. But China has one aim for Africa, and that is, for them, economic.
Economic.
Yeah, so for them, it's all about the commodities. It's all about China. It's not about the local. But when Middle East investors invest in Africa, they also care about...
So I ask this because are there people who are genuinely interested in the development of Africa, or are there people who are there primarily to exploit for their own interests?
Now, if you ask me about China, yes.
Being
China,
very frank.
No, China, yes. China is there to exploit. The Arabs not. The Arabs have been here for many years. If you look at Oman, if you look at the eastern coast of Africa.
No, so in your opinion, what are the relationships with Qatar, with Israel, the Jewish community, and all the Muslim countries? I mean, this is unique that both sides seem to trust Qatar. So the question is why, and what are the interests?
If you look at the track record of Qatar, what happened between Afghanistan and the US, Qatar is in a better position to negotiate peace treaties. Their track record actually speaks for itself. And if you look at the West, the US, the Russians, they believe that Qatar is strategic to the Middle East peace initiatives. So, I mean, I'm hoping in the near future there'll be peace between Palestine and Israel. And this is something that Qatar
Inshallah
will play a very big role. I'm hoping the world recognizes the Qatar initiative. It's not because of money. Money doesn't buy peace.
Yeah. I just want to ask you one question. If you had an opportunity to speak to the lawmakers, say in the United States of America, after all, this is the most powerful country in the planet, what would you want to tell them about Qatar?
Read the case study of Afghanistan.
That's it.
That's it. Read the case study of Afghanistan, how Qatar intervened, discussed, negotiated the treaty, the peaceful retreat of the Taliban. That itself is phenomenal. A lot of people were talking about avoiding arms conflict in Afghanistan, and Qatar was one of the first countries to tell the West arms conflict is not a solution. Dialogue.
Okay. You know, we, at the Center for Responsible Leadership, our ethos is we don't judge anybody to see whether they're responsible leaders or not. Rather, we ask 3 questions and we say, you be the judge if you are a responsible leader. So 3 questions we ask, and I share this with you, and I want your opinion is, who in the Middle East, especially in the Gulf countries and the other Arab regions, you may consider as a responsible leader? So the 3 questions. Do you make decisions based on the present or the future? Second, do you make decisions based on conviction or convenience? Third, are they constructive or destructive?
Now, to answer your first question, who I think is the most responsible leader, I'll be biased. His Highness Sheikh Tamim.
So would you want to see him more at a global forums and global platforms to be promoted as a unique example or model of responsible leadership?
Absolutely. True.
So I'd love to see if you can make that possible.
Please, we'll invite you to Doha. There's a Doha Economic Forum. Maybe we'll start with that one next year, inshallah.
Do a small gathering of responsible leadership across the Middle East.
Correct.
Or from wherever. And let's have a good discussion to see how we can promote responsible leadership across the region, which can then help be a bridge between the West and the Middle East.
I'll be happy to assist.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Wish you the very best.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure God will take you to higher places.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
so
Thank
much.
you.